Good morning. Guys, by now. If you've been with my channel for a while, you know I'm not crazy about this pig feeder, but it's what I have, so it's what I use. But I've been thinking about making a new one, and I've got a design in mind, or a way that I want to do it, and it's going to be a lot different than what I've got here. My plan is to make sort of like a cone-shaped feeder that dumps out into a trough so that I can probably get 8 to 10 pigs around it to eat at once, and I can fill it up with several hundred pounds of feed so that I don't have to come out here and feed these guys every day. This would reduce my labor, satisfy their appetites much better, and probably increase my feed use as well. But when you're trying to put pounds on an animal, you can't really think about that. So that's on the to-do list, but not on the list for today. Now, I've been noticing this four-wheeler is leaking oil down here somewhere, and I thought to myself, I should probably check that. It's a Honda, it'll run forever, but you do have to take care of it. Of course, I say that as my Honda side-by-side sits outside broken. The way these dipsticks work is you poke them in there without threading it. Yeah, it is still touching, but it could use a little. This morning we got to get the cows moved, and then it's back to work on the corral project. That's what's going on today on Farmertylerranch. What a good girl you are. You're just waiting. What a good girl. In the last video, you guys saw me get these pipes welded up, get the gate welded on, and get these brackets welded onto the posts. So the next step is to build the removable panel. And like I talked about in the last video, I've decided the best way to do this and ensure a good outcome is to build it in place. So what we'll have to do is run back up to the shop and get some of that salvage square tubing that's going to be used for the vertical pieces and get that all ready to go. And then I've got plenty of pipe here that we can weld across this span. I've got this nice piece of 3x3 square tubing here. If you remember, this used to be part of my alleyway leading up to the squeeze chute, but when we had to shorten it, this was one of the posts that had to come out. There is still a good post in here, but we've got to get all this junk off of it, which is going to take some time, but for the way that I'm going to use this post now, it's got to be clean. So this is something I've not been looking forward to doing, but we better just get it over with. Didn't come off very good. Easy part's done. Now we're on to the hard part, and that is getting this, what would you call it? Plate, whatever it is, get it off of the post. It looks like I welded this on in such a way that I didn't think I was ever gonna have to come back and take it off. So it's gonna take a lot of cutting, a lot of grinding, but we'll get it. Well, that was a miserable hour and a half, but we're done with that part at least. Now I got to cut this thing in half, cap both ends, and then it'll be ready to take down there. It is 8 feet on the money, which is what we need it to be. At long last, I got these pieces how I need them to be. This took a lot longer than I figured it would, which is not surprising because, you know, everything does. Let's run them down there and make sure that everything fits the way that I'm thinking it should, and then we can start welding cross pipe on these. This showed up today. This is great news for me, not such good news if you are a chicken. We're gonna run this back down to the ranch and get it out of the box and check it out too. As mentioned before, this is great for me, not so much for them. This is a chicken scalder. This is something that I probably should have bought many years ago, but I finally got around to buying it now. It looks pretty straightforward, on, off, and then, you know, set your heat wherever you want it. I ordered this from Stromberg's Hatchery. I paid full price for it. This isn't sponsored. And this is the smaller of the 2 or 3 units that they make. Some friends of mine, the Naked Gardeners on YouTube, recommended that I do not get this one. They told me to get the size up from this, which requires 220 power, but it heats up a lot faster and it's bigger. The reason I ended up getting this smaller one is not because I was ignoring their advice, but it's because they were sold out of the larger one and I really just wanted to get one. So I decided to take a chance with this. The main criticism that I have heard for this is that it takes a long time to heat up, anywhere from an hour and a half to as much as possibly 4 hours. All the reviews I read said that once it got up to temperature that it would hold it and everything's good after that. So I think with a little bit of planning ahead, you know, if I just make sure on butcher days I go ahead and fire this thing up first and let it start going, that will be all right. Not gonna get any butchering done today, but probably in the next video I will, and we'll take this thing for a test drive and see how it does. I'm looking at my brackets, I'm looking at the pieces I cut out, and they just do not look like they're gonna fit. They just really don't look like it, but let's hold them up and see. The tape measure said they're both 4 feet, so they should. Hey, look at that. It fits perfectly. Who would have thought? Well, that's a relief. Trick of the eye, I guess. The next step will be welding pipe from this upright on over to this one. And now I always wonder if when I'm explaining things or when I have an idea and I'm trying to tell you guys what it is, I always wonder how many people are completely confused by what I'm saying. And that's why I wanted to put these up here to show you, because I think now that you see this, you should kind of better be able to see what my idea is here. You can see how welding those little plates on the bottom brackets hold these in the perfect spot. And when we weld the pipe in, we'll be able to lift this thing out as one unit and put it back in fairly easily. What's going to end up actually holding these in place is I just plan to drill some holes here and put like some 4-inch bolts to bolt these into the angle iron. But once you do that, even if somebody hits this panel, you're not just relying on these bolts to hold it. The angle iron is really what's going to take the brunt of any force. Starting to think, as much as I'm watering this, I should have planted something here. I still got a few hours of daylight and the wind is pretty calm right now. This would be a good time to get some welding done. So I don't know if we're gonna get all four of these pipes, or four. I don't know if we're gonna get all 5 of these pipes welded up, but we'll at least get a couple of them. And the nice thing is we're welding to a flat face, so it's gonna be a lot faster to cut the pipe and a little bit faster to weld it. We got 149.5 on top. That's a 9. We're 149 3/8 on the bottom, which means we are 1/8 of an inch out, which is pretty good, but I'll still probably have to correct for it while I'm cutting these pipes. Oh my gosh. I quit. Where's the balance point? There it is. Ay, ay, ay. Watch out, Kelly. I don't know where to put this. That's a lot lighter now. Let's see if I measured right. That'll work. As the day wears on, my expectations about what I can get done start to become more realistic. I was hoping to maybe get all of these welded up this evening, but I think at the rate the sun is going down and at the rate I'm getting things done, I would realistically like to get the bottom one welded in and then the top one welded in as well. And things seem to go a little bit quicker if I focus on one thing and then move on to the next. For example, I'm gonna go ahead and get the next pipe cut, get it hung. So when I get the welder fired up, then I can just go ahead and weld everything and we'll call it a day. I don't know how well it's going to come across on camera, but this is long. It's very long. I think after I get the rest of the horizontal pipe welded up here, I'll have to do some sort of brace or cross member, what would you call it, just to help hold all this pipe. In case anybody ever does try to jump over this, it won't bow this top rail. It'll just kind of all be held together. Something similar to this, but a lot stronger. But other than that, this is looking pretty good. It's really starting to, you can see what it's gonna be. And this is my favorite part of projects like this, is when that picture in your mind starts to take shape right in front of your eyes. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.